Welcome to Tilo's Business Corner once again, everybody. And I've got a great guest for you today. This is Shelly Panzarella with Prosperity Lending. And Shelly has been doing loans for a long time. She's been in the mortgage industry for over 20 years. And during that time, she's moved from an originator to being the managing operations and sales for her companies. Yeah. And I remember there was one prior to this one, but now she's with Prosperity, and the loan programs that they've got, man, they'll blow you out of the water. It's amazing. That's awesome. So with Shelly, when you started this process as an originator, you never got back into the underwriting side of it, but you were able to help get people prepared for your loan officers, get them prepared for the underwriting process. And how does that usually lay out? How are you able to help most of those guys? Because I think that's where the sticky part is when it goes from the loan officer to underwriting. And that's what people don't understand.
You know, I think that's the misnomer. Everybody thinks that it's just the loan officer that kind of gets the file in and we ultimately get it to closing, which if that were the case, I promise you all of us loan officers would be like, we're approved, ready to close. And my team would attest to that. I'm the first one that says, all right, just send this one right into docs, even if it's had a loan application. But in my career, I have really had to, I've seen a ton of different buyer profiles. We've seen a lot of different changes in guidelines. And one of the number one things for me is not just relationships with, realtor partners, our clients and things like that. It's with my operations group too, and my underwriters. Sure. So managing a team has been definitely helpful because they'll usually come to me. I call myself a firefighter. They'll come to me and say, hey, this deal is a little sticky, to your point, and right. How do I kind of get this to go through or get this approved? And some of it is the collaboration between the two of us, but a lot of times it's the collaboration with my underwriter and myself and him or them. Sure. To better understand how we can make a deal go through. I mean, we're not in the business to decline loans. Same thing with our underwriters. But understanding that at the end of the day, this loan has to be put together so that an investor, secondary marketing, people buying these investments on the back end side will purchase them. Sure. That's why we have specific guidelines. That's why there is differences between FHA financing, conventional financing, and VA financing, and jumbo financing. That's why they're there. It's because they're all very unique programs set for a specific buyer profile. So.
And so it really helps to have a loan officer or a team for a lender that knows what those requirements are, what the underwriters are looking for. It's very important to have that experience. So I can't stress enough how important it is to be with an experienced lender, because there's so many pitfalls that an inexperienced lender would not know. And that experience of sending it to the underwriters time and time again, hundreds and hundreds of loans, you definitely learn what the underwriters are looking for each type of loan.
Yeah, that's what makes us unique as well. We don't, I used to work in a big banking environment, and it's very challenging to have that open line of communication, where the environment we're in with Prosperity Lending is we're a very dynamic group, small but powerful, I like to say. But we have the ability to pick up the phone and communicate one-on-one with the underwriter that helps us to make the decision, right? The final decision at the end of the day. And that allows us to be really quick in responding and also very flexible with our approvals and such. So
nice.
Yeah.
So that's just gives you a little bit of insight of how it works with the lending side of things and how important it is to have a really experienced lender. So let's talk a little bit about her topics in the mortgage world, and we'll start on the one that everybody always loves. Where are the current interest rates?
Yeah, so it used to be, I'd come and report weekly to your sales meetings for the office, and we'd say, rates are still the same, right. But this week has really been kind of a little nerve-wracking for us, because we have seen a quick increase in interest rates by about 0.5 point. So, coming into the beginning of the year, so around January, we were roughly around the 2.5, 2.75, depending on credit scores and program. We are now into the 3% range, and still all-time low. So I still want to encourage everybody, don't listen to the news that it's, things are going crazy, but we've experienced just some change right?
Right.
And being prepared as a borrower to understand what that is, but also not necessarily, the payment aspect of it is it's maybe a $35, $45 difference in payment today. So
Okay.
don't necessarily get so stuck on the interest rate.
Right.
But also for us as in the industry is just knowing that this has happened, right? And so
It's finally movement. So
It
it's like,
is.
okay, pay attention.
yes, for sure. And hopefully it'll help some people get out, and really start to take action.
Right.
Because if it is something that becomes, a higher increase even from today to the next couple of weeks, that definitely could put us in a position where we were before, the shutdown and everything like that, before 2020, which is still not bad. It is still a good rate environment. It is just not the all-time record lows.
So typically, I wonder what the average would be over the last 30, 40 years for interest rates. Probably
That's a good
5
question.
5 to 6, something like that.
I would say
maybe?
that, yeah, because I think for a long time, we were in the 5% rate for a long time. I mean, I've been
Right.
in the industry 20 years, and I feel like that 5 and 6. My first home was a 6% interest rate, and so I feel like that's probably the average.
And this last downturn, I think in like 2010, when they got into the 4s, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, they're in the
All-time
4s."
lows.
What the,
Yeah.
And then when this came about with COVID and everything else, I don't know
Yeah.
what the overall factors were for it to kick down into the 2s, but it was like jaw-dropping. So it's
Yeah.
never been this low in the history of the United States.
That ride for the last 6 months has really been our all-time lows in my career, at least, and honestly, I think for the history of interest rates, a lot of it was spurred because of the pandemic, and everybody, they had to get the economy, going, and housing is a number one factor for the economy, right? And so spurring that for us, that's one way. I also think it helped with refinances because it allowed us to get some clients into a much more affordable mortgage for them.
Oh man,
saving
on
them
that
hundreds of
point, if
dollars.
you guys have not refinanced up to this point, you need to get it done.
For sure.
Because we're talking about, it is the lowest that it's ever been that we've seen.
Yeah.
And even if you can still get it in the 3s and 4s, good night. That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah, and with us having good equity this right now, I think it definitely makes it easier as well to take advantage of the rates today.
Okay, cool. Well, now let's get into the current challenges that you have. If you're trying to purchase, we have a crazy market. The inventory is scary low, and I think the biggest challenge is if you've got anything between $250,000, $350K, and you're trying to purchase in that price range, it's like half a month's worth of inventory at the moment.
Yeah.
And like a regular average is 3 or 4 months, so it's scary low right now.
Yeah.
So you've had to be creative if you're submitting offers, especially if there's cash buyers that you're going against. There's ways to prepare your offers in order to get them at least have a shot or get accepted. And the cool thing with Shelly is she always has something up her sleeves as far as ways to be creative to put you in a better position. So from the loan program's point of view, one of them that I wanted to talk to her about was the one, if you say you need to sell a house and purchase another house, you're going to have to write your offer contingent upon the sale of your current property, because you're going to need the equity from that one to put into your next home. So you have a program now. What's it called?
The actual name is called Cross Collateral, and
Okay.
it is literally that, right? You're just taking the collateral from your current home and applying it to the new home that you're purchasing.
Okay.
If you have enough equity in there, we've actually been able to our clients have been able to purchase the home with 100% financing, including their closing cost. I know it's crazy, and
That's crazy.
the benefit for our client is that they don't, that fear, right, of if I sell my house, where am I going? This will actually put them in position to be able to close on that home and then decide if they want to sell or rent the current home. So
Sure.
it'll give them that flexibility. And then if they decide to sell, what will happen is the net proceeds from their current home would actually then go and be applied to the new home.
Oh,
It'll
nice.
reset the actual payment, so it would be as though they had closed, beforehand. But of course, we want to do this non-contingent. They would set the loan basically as to whatever that would have been with their large down payment with the net proceeds.
So I don't know if you guys really understood all all of that.
Yeah, sorry, loan
other than the
jargon.
fact that, isn't that sweet? You have the ability to write, not contingent upon the sale of your home, if you structure it correctly.
Yeah.
So make sure to reach out to Shelly.
Yeah.
If you're in that position, and I'll make sure to find you the next home. We'll put the other one on the market once that situation is all figured out, and it's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is actually a great, because the contingency aspect of it today is a huge concern.
Yeah, I mean, if I'll give you an example. I've got some properties on the market right now that are in that price range that we were just talking about, and I've got multiple offers on all three of those properties. So that's the environment that we're in. So you have to make sure you're strategically putting yourself in a good position when you're writing offers. Even up to, in this market, $500,000-$600,000. There's a good chance that you're going to be in a multiple offer situation. So make sure that you're strategically planning for that.
I also think, working with the right realtor is important. I have seen, I've had clients on both sides, and one of the things, I reach out to the listing agent. So I have had it where listing agents,
yes,
they also tell me, I'm grateful you've called. They sometimes open up a little bit more information, right, because they can, rather than with you or with a buyer's agent. But they will say, because it's Tim Lowe's offer, he's an amazing realtor. They usually know that when it comes to highest and best, it is also a professionalism stand. You know what I mean? There's professionalism, the ability to close because you've done so multiple times before, maybe partnered with that listing agent or whatever the case may be. So I definitely believe that it is also the realtor that you work with makes a huge difference on that too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Good.
Well, no, I appreciate that. So she's always got so much that I could sit here and talk to Shelly for days just about ways that she can help everybody that's out there, and of course us real estate agents. We're going to touch real quick on down payment assistance. It's still out there.
It is.
And up to what price range is it available to people, or is it just for the amount of money that people make that the qualifications go off of?
So there are definitely some criteria on that. Depending on if you use FHA financing, which is restricted to a $362,000 loan amount, only because it's FHA financing. With conventional financing, the loan amount is like $548,000. So the down payment assistance will actually allow for you to purchase that high, but it does restrict the amount of income that you can make in order to qualify for the program. Okay. So today it's about $98,500 regardless of the program. So if it's VA, FHA,
as far as your overall income,
total income
on a single person,
it's actually household. So
that's household.
Husband and wife. If the husband is if they're both working and they both exceed that, unfortunately, we do have to. They wouldn't be eligible for the down payment assistance program. But it's been, we've been able to utilize it in cases where the client can not just take advantage of the down payment, but maybe they're a little bit short on closing cost as well. And so they use the down payment, they come in with closing cost. Before in the market where they could get some seller contribution, it's not there, right?
You're not getting seller contributions right now. And it's realizing that that's the type of market that we're in right now. That's kind of why we do these videos, is to show you where the market currently is and how to handle it to go forward. Yeah,
so we have there's a down payment assistance where if the loan amount or the down payment is 3.5%, you can actually get assistance up to 5%. So that leaves you with some room to cover the closing cost as well, and then usually your earnest money on top of that. So that covers down payment and closing cost. So you really are just able to get in with the earnest money deposit. So even conventional financing has a 3% down payment and a 5% down payment assistance.
What's the most that you've seen? I mean, as far as somebody getting cash out of one of the down payment assistance programs, like what's the highest?
I mean, 5% on a purchase price. So if we were up at the 500,000. So I mean, 5% of that, 25,000. Yeah, I know, it's amazing.
That's crazy, right? And they don't have to pay it back? Or do they have to stay in the home for a particular amount of time?
They do, yes. So it is what they call forgiven after a set amount of time, depending on the program that they use. Typically, or on average, these programs are about 3 years forgiveness. Ultimately, if you live in the home and you don't refinance it, it's forgiven, so you don't have to pay it back.
Sweet.
In our current rate environment, to be very honest with you, some of the clients that we had worked with in the very beginning of the year of 2020, the rates were right around 4.5%. It made sense for them to take advantage of a 2.5% interest rate to refinance. but they had to pay back a portion of that down payment
Oh,
assistance.
yeah, I guess that would make sense. That's
Yeah,
true.
but it's still
Okay.
overall the return on it for that interest 2-point interest difference
Right.
was a huge advantage for them,
Yeah.
even with that. But had they stayed in there 3 years and looked to refinance, it'd be no issue. They wouldn't have to pay back.
Could you imagine getting the interest rates that you're at right now and getting down payment assistance?
It is actually a great benefit to our clients today.
So those of you that know that they might need some money for down payment assistance or closing costs, that type of program, if you can qualify for it, might just put you in the spot to be able to purchase,
Yeah.
where you didn't realize that you would be in that position. So
And that is actually a great point, because I think a lot of people, I have a lot of clients who think they have to save 20% on
Right.
a home. I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
so they think they're saving for like 5 years. I'm like, I could
Right.
have helped you out, year day one.
Right.
Yeah. So,
very true, very true.
Yeah.
I mean, so everybody's situation is unique,
Yes.
and not anybody's situation is going to be the same as the next person per each loan program, because they have to look through. There's so much paperwork that you have to go through.
Yeah.
Another reason why you need a very experienced loan officer, because they're going to tell you up front. You need your tax returns, your income statements, bank statements, all the fun stuff up front. And so that way you're not getting hit with so much in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem with like B of A, Wells Fargo, Chase. I mean, I hate to put you guys out there like that, but their regulations are very strict, and they don't just do loans. So they don't care if at the end of the day you don't make it. A regular loan officer that has their own company, they're vested. They're going to make sure that they try to get you to the finish line.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
another point on that.
I mean,
one.
comparing, right? Because I did also work for a big bank that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And definitely and it has, they're very compliant. Everything is the same from a program standpoint. It is just capacity, because to your point, they have banking, they have checking accounts, savings accounts, clients that are coming in and so the amount of volume that they have, there's just no way to set the right experience, be able to have the one-on-one communication, just because of the magnitude of volume that they have.
And when it's submitted to underwriting, and when it's going to kick back to you.
Yeah.
Lots of times that's
Yeah.
the kicker.
Yeah, because there's no communication.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yes.
Get 2 or 3 weeks into a 30-day escrow, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, you still need this. Oh, we don't see that. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're going to have to cancel the deal. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So one last point I want to get into while we got Shelly here is the credit restoration part of it. And I think that's like the black cloud that sits over a lot of people. It's like, man, I know I've got this certain stuff that needs to be taken care of, and they don't even want to address it. It's like they want to just go forward. I want to get a house, but I don't want to look at this part of it. Well, let me tell you what, almost everybody has something to deal with on their credit to get you in line to go forward. Even I've seen people with 800 FICO scores that are like, oh, I'm good. And then they go to pull it and it's like, oh man.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
think
realize
I'm
that.
like the bad guy. Like, no,
Right.
that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's just very important to if you've got the opportunity to 3-6 months out to have a lender pull that information for you to see if you're going to qualify. It's just put you in such a great position. But to the point, like on a regular basis for credit restoration, there's credit restoration companies. Mm-hmm. Some people might need to go down that road because there's a lot to fix. If they're in that 400, 500 FICO, 600 FICO score range. Do you have anybody that you go to, like that's your go-to person to go?
Yeah, so we use a couple, but to be very honest with you, I have had a lot of experience. I mean, even personally with myself, I went through a divorce, and I hear the story from my clients, and the credit gets tanked, and you got to build yourself back from that. And had I not had somebody who really educated me through the process, and I just made these random things because I saw it on Facebook wasn't there at the time, but I saw it on Reader's Digest or whatever the case would be, some news station.
That's dating us.
I know.
'Cause I remember
know.
Reader's Digest.
Sorry, that's like my new favorite place to call when we talk about the back days. Anyway, so with that, if you were just to listen to the noise, so to speak, and not really had somebody walk you through the process, handhold you like myself and our team does, we have great apps that will actually assist us in telling you if you do A, B, or C, this is what happens. I think everybody just believes, oh, if I just pay off all my bad debt, then everything is fine. That's not the case. If you pay off an old collection account, that's maybe seasoned for 5 years, it's great that you've paid it off and you've paid back that debt, but what it does is it actually appears back on your credit
As a negative.
The day that as a brand new collection at zero balance.
Right.
So that mark of that collection account actually hurts your credit.
Right.
And so a lot of people think that that's all that they have to do. So I like to work with our clients first to see what we can do, if we can do it personally one-on-one. And then if it is something that is, I don't like to say, and nothing is beyond repair. I was literally in that same boat where I was in the low 5s and I'm in the high 7s today.
Okay.
One, you have to have patience. But you do have to work with the right people to help you get there. And then, obviously you have to be focused on the end product, right?
Right.
You have to be focused. For me, it was home ownership as well. I needed to get myself in position to buy a home and understand that the work that I put in to get my score where it was is going to be the same work you have to put in to get your score at a higher, to get your score increased. So,
Sure. Okay.
So if for some reason we can't actually help them, then we would, of course, send them out to a credit restoration company, and we do work with a few of them. Some of them which with cost obviously associated with them, but for me personally, there is no cost. It's just time, honestly.
Okay. So in other words, make sure that you get evaluated with Shelly and her crew first, and then they'll be able to figure out if you need to do a bigger evaluation or a credit restoration company, or if they can handle it, just in-house.
Yeah. And when you were saying like people just put the blinders on, don't be embarrassed. I mean, really, that's the first part of getting you to this point is to really open up and see what we have to do with regards to down payment, with regards to income, with regards to credit and employment, and then take it from there, right? I always say we'll lead you down the path. Right? If you really want it, we'll lead you down the path.
And believe me, you're so relieved when you finally are in that position of that transparency to realize I'm in a good spot now.
Yeah.
Now I can go forward and kick some booty.
That's right.
So
yes, I love it.
So make sure to reach out to Shelly, and she'll get you taken care of. Well, I think we jumped on quite a bit for what we had. And if you guys have any other questions regarding loans, make sure to reach out to Shelly. Shelly, what's your telephone number?
702-499-3279. You can always text. You can email in also teamshelly@prosperitylending.com. My team and I are waiting and able to help you. And there's a few of us behind that email. So.
All right, great. Well, thanks again for
Thanks
coming
for
out.
having me. I loved
good
it.
information.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys got a lot out of that. If you got any other questions, of course, if you've got a house that you need to sell and want to purchase, buy, sell side, I got you covered. Either way, we're here. So hopefully you enjoyed the Tilo's Business Corner, and we will catch you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.